This is the morning sports desk for Thursday, April 4th. I'm CJ Baumgartner. There's Corey Tackman. Corey, the Minnesota Timberwolves are back. It's another time for the Wolves back sounder to play because they're back atop the Western Conference standings. Number one, well, they're technically tied with Denver, but the tiebreakers go to Wolves. Are the best team in the West. And not only that, with yesterday's 50-0 point win over Toronto, the Minnesota Timberwolves have clinched home court advantage in the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah, they'll be at least a 4 seed, no worse than a 4 seed. They scored almost 140 points, and they gave up less than 90 points in yesterday's game. I think Toronto is one of their last 16 or 17. They are in complete and utter on purpose disarray. They've given up, and and whatever. There's a half a dozen games left or something like that on the regular season. They don't care. It would behoove them to go one for their last 28 or whatever the numbers equal out to. They stink. The Timberwolves are good. That game went exactly how as it should have.
Somebody pointed out on social media when the Raptors put out the starting lineup for the game that it's one of those lineups where in 5 years when the team hopefully is good, everybody goes, real ones were there for this. It's like when Wolves fans pull up the starting lineup that had 5 white guys, and they're like, real ones remember watching these Timberwolves games. And it just kind of makes you appreciate when the team is good. That's where Toronto's at right now. A combination of tanking / rebuilding / everybody's hurt that could possibly play. So not a great situation in Toronto.
Who could have been in that Timberwolves lineup? Who was a lineup of 5 white guys?
It was Kevin Love.
Love, probably
Barea. JJ Barea.
Okay, Love, Barea. Probably
Pekovic.
Chase Budinger.
Yeah. Chase Budinger. And then there was that Kirilenko? Was he in there? Or
it might have been.
Luke Ridenour?
Luke Ridenour. It was probably Luke Ridenour and not
some
JJ
combination
Barea.
of those guys.
Oh my gosh, Luke Ridenour. Awesome.
Ricky Rubio.
Amazing stuff. They stink. Toronto's really bad.
Toronto's really bad. So who cares? They won a title in 2019. They got what they wanted. And Wolves are trying to do the same this year on their all-in push. Getting that home court advantage is huge, especially considering how well this team plays at the Target Center. Ant finally kind of snapped out of his mini funk and had a nice game. Naz Reid with another nice game. Really, everybody had a nice game.
Daryl told me this morning that Ant, coming into last night's game, had missed his last how many 3-point attempts? Do you know the number?
I want to say 26.
I think he told me 22.
Yeah, it was bad.
What? Can I be honest with you?
Yeah.
I've never missed 22 straight threes. I understand the level of competition as long as everyone understands the level of ability difference also. 22 straight threes he missed before getting one to drop. What an insane number.
I think Edwards said, he's like, I'm glad I'm in this funk right now. He's like, that way it's just out of the way for the playoffs. So,
goodness gracious. For your last 22 from deep is a stupid bad number. Caitlin Clark has never missed 22 shots in a row.
I don't think she's ever missed 12 shots in a row.
Unbelievable. What an unbelievable number that is.
Anthony Edwards also said he was disappointed after the game yesterday because so if the opposing team misses 2 free throws in an NBA game, Chick-fil-A will give everybody who bought a ticket to the game and has like the Timberwolves app or something like that a free chicken sandwich the next day. And late in the fourth quarter, they missed the first one, and the entire Wolves crowd was like up on their feet, ready to go. And they missed the second free throw, and the crowd started booing because they wanted their free chicken sandwich. And Ant after the game said, yeah, I was hoping to get the free chicken sandwich too, despite the fact that he's a millionaire now. But
the Sacramento game I went to, that happened. The whole stadium erupted
to get that free. Well, it's a weird promotional line. It's like, what? Brickin' for chicken or something like that.
I think so. I think that's what it is. Yeah.
Something weird like that. It's a great line. And Chick-fil-A, obviously, right in the wheelhouse with the sponsorships like that. I would love to show up to a game and get a free Chick-fil-A.
I remember being in Kansas City one time for a Twins game, and they had a promotion that was like, if they got a dozen hits, I don't know if it was any home game or if it was only Sunday home games. We were there for a Sunday game. A dozen hits gets you a dozen Krispy Kreme donuts.
Oh,
that was awesome. We took advantage of that.
When I went to a Vikings game a few years ago, and I think it was if they got more than like 3 sacks in a game, you could get like a free appetizer at Buffalo Wild Wings. And it was me and a couple buddies from college. And we went and they got 3 sacks. And on our drive home, we stopped at the St. Cloud Buffalo Wild Wings and we're like, free apps right here.
Let's go.
Give us those mozzarella sticks. Let's go. Get those things frying. So people do take advantage of those. And this, we'll transition into that in a second. So hang on with that food promotion. Wolves, their final remaining schedule here. They have 6 games left. They play Phoenix tomorrow in Phoenix, 9:00 tip-off. The Lakers on Sunday, 9:00 tip-off. The Wizards on Tuesday, back at the Target Center. And then they go on the road to play Denver next Wednesday, April 10th, at 9:00 tip-off against the Nuggets. And then they play the Hawks at home Friday, April 12th. The Suns, Sunday, April 14th at the Target Center to end the season. So there's not really a ton of gimme games anymore outside of the Wizards and maybe the Hawks. But here we go. 6 more games to decide if the Wolves can get that 1 seed. That one against Denver is basically the really only like circle. If there's a game that you absolutely need to win, beating Denver helps. Now you're already going to get a tiebreaker with them and you're going to have a better in-conference record, but just overall helps things out. So that's where things sit in the final part of the season. The Thunder are 1 game back, so they're definitely in the mix for that 1 seed as well. And that's pretty much it between those 3 teams. So back to the food promotions, Corey. Speaking of things that fans can take advantage of, the Miami Marlins have a promotion where after every Marlins win that you would get a free Whopper Jr. at Burger King the next day.
Wow.
Nice little promotion. The Marlins, who hate their fans, have gone 0-7 to start the season.
Yeah, it's an unbelievable promotion, but they also know that they're only going to be giving away about 40 cheeseburgers a year or whatever.
Right. Somebody has the GIF. It's like a very early episode of SpongeBob where like he's gone. So Squidward's got to man the grill and he's screwing everything up and everybody's yelling at him in the kitchen and they go, hurry it up, will ya? We're hungry. And it just has the Miami Marlins logo on top of it. And the guy's like, my kids haven't eaten in days. It was that with Miami, with the Marlins. It was that with Detroit, with the Pistons. When they were in that long losing streak, because I think you got like a free basket of wings from Wingstop. So everybody's like, everybody's starving over here. Come on.
Speaking of franchises screwing their fans over, have you been following along with any of the Oakland A's stuff?
Yeah, I've seen that.
Okay, so on top of trying to move to Vegas, their fans are in full revolt. Full revolt. They're just like anybody who's at those games now is a visiting fan, essentially, or someone with an axe to grind, which is hilarious. They have been demoting players. There's a website that is like a fan support, Oakland A's fan support website, and they have players who have been wearing like these bracelets, basically in support of the fans. Those players have all been demoted to like AAA. On top of all of that, while their new stadium is being built in Vegas, for the next 3 or 4 years, they're going to play in a 10,000 seat minor league ballpark in Sacramento.
And by the way, do you think they're going to be able to fill that up? Because
no, they're not getting 10,000 fans to their stadium now.
Right. Like maybe Sacramento just goes like, oh, cool. Like we're going to have some MLB games in our stadium, like in our city, like we'll go watch, but it's not to support Oakland. It's just to go watch a Major League Baseball game that you don't have to drive hours for.
Oakland is going to play 162 road games that season. And it's not like Sacramento is a destination in California for people.
No.
The Twins fans will go to LA to go see Chavez Ravine and the Twins play the Dodgers. Are you going to go to Sacramento, CJ, to watch the Twins play
No.
Oakland? Ish.
Only if it was like an April game. Only if the Twins are like starting the season there and it's like, it's still kind of cold here. Let me just get some more warm for you. That's why like Vikings.
Sure.
November, it's cold outside. Go to California. Like take a week. Go to Vegas. You know what I mean? Like that's the thing. But the Oakland A's are a mess. Feel bad for their fans and their city, and the fact that Major League Baseball is just complicit in their owner basically just souring an entire city on a Major League Baseball team to go to Vegas and ask the Oakland Raiders how it works out since the move to Las Vegas. It's very fake. Like I remember when the Vikings played there, there's some beat reporters who went there and they're like, people cosplay as Raiders fans there. It's not the same amount of dedication and loyalty because it's not Las Vegas's team either. It's Oakland's team that moved there. It's like a step team. The Vegas Golden Knights in the NHL, the Aces in the WNBA, those are homegrown in Vegas. And those do better, one, because they're successful. But two, they have a built-in fan base because it's their team. When you move a city over and you're not rebranding them either, they're going to be the A's, just like the Raiders are the Raiders. That's not your team. That's somebody else's team that's moving into your city. They're squatting. Like, that's where things are going to go. And also, again, the Raiders are so displeased with the fact that nobody shows up to their stadium except for other teams' fans. It's like, you asked for this. So anyway,
I'm not a proponent of any franchise moving, but the Raiders should have gone to LA, not the Chargers, and the Chargers should have gone to Vegas.
Right.
It would have made way more sense that way. I don't want San Diego to lose the team because I still call the Chargers San Diego. That's going to be my old man thing that I take with me till death. But if teams were going to move around and shuffle around, the Raiders should have gone back to LA and the Chargers should have gone to Vegas.
The Rams going back to LA, well, screws over the city of St. Louis. At least you're like, well, they were there before. And like, there's a history there and there's whatever. Even the Raiders going to Vegas has like a sliver of like the Raiders kind of makes sense as a Las Vegas-y town. But like you talked about, like there's already such a deep-rooted culture of Raiders. There's more Raiders fans in LA than there are Rams and Chargers fans because they were in LA before and because people like the silver and black and the way the Raiders play, whatever. It is what it is. But yeah, that's there's our tangent for the day. So using that as our segue into baseball here, the Minnesota Twins won yesterday. They have their home opener today at Target Field against the Gardos. 2:30 pregame, 3:10 first pitch on KWAD. Corey, yesterday the Twins got a split in Milwaukee, and it looked like things were kind of not going great. Paddock had a little bit of trouble early. The Twins bullpen has been lights out for most of the season, if not all of the 5 games so far. So the Twins bullpen's been holding up their end of the bargain, but the Twins lineup had not been. And we talked about the power issues. The Twins coming into today's game hadn't had an RBI hit since Saturday. So they were going a few games without that. But all of a sudden, late in the game, things turned around. And Corey, things turned around with Alex Kirilloff ripping a double. Byron Buxton comes up to the plate and does what I think is synonymous with people who've watched Buxton play, rips a double down the left field line and sprints all the way over to second base. And then on a single by Carlos Correa, Buxton scores. And I know that you saw the play, Corey, for Buxton rounding third. He stopped like 2 or 3 times, and Yelich's throw still wasn't even close.
Buxton scored on a line drive one hopper to left field from second base.
And he stopped like 3 times because he wanted to make sure that the ball wasn't caught.
Insane. And then Yelich has an arm like a pool noodle. I had no idea that guy couldn't throw. Holy gross.
You know, in his defense, maybe it was just he didn't have time to set because he knew Buxton was fast, so he just got rid of it and hoped that it was close. But yeah, it wasn't a great throw by Yelich at all.
Pretty bad. And insane. Buxton showed off exactly his value in that double and then to score on a ball that no one on the planet should score on.
Right. And Correa with a good piece of hitting. Then all of a sudden, Ryan Jeffers comes up and hits a bomb. a 3-run bomb to put the Twins up. And that's where things sit with the Twins right now. They got a 7-3 win yesterday. Alex Kirilloff, by the way, Corey, went 4 for 4 with a pair of singles, a double, and a triple. And I think a walk was thrown in there. He was a home run away from the cycle. Alex Kirilloff has been the Twins' best hitter, I think, through the first 5 games of the season.
Also, dare I say, very handsome with that beard.
Okay, you want to know my take on Alex Kirilloff with the beard? That's my take. Skinny Luke Combs with that beard.
Interesting. I think I like it.
Am I onto something here? I'm onto something, I think, with that one. I saw him first have a little one.
I'll take a closer look because I need to confirm that because I love it. It's ridiculous. So that's the exact sort of thing that I need in my life. But yeah, who could have got bearded Kirilloff is what we needed.
Yes, exactly. He's got what the kids call aura now. That's the new thing of like swagger. It's called aura, and he's got a lot of it now. So there you go.
We're off of Riz. We're off of Riz and onto aura.
Yes, we're on right to aura. You got to keep up with the kids, Corey. So
great. I love it. I love aura. It's classier sounding than Riz.
Alex Kirilloff's been their best hitter, but when you look at Byron Buxton and Carlos Correa, obviously came with some big hits, extra base hits, RBIs. Carlos Correa made what I think might have been his toughest or maybe just most impressive play as a Twin. We know Carlos Correa can make a bunch of plays in the field. Know he's really good at backhanding. He's got a cannon arm. But Correa, walking out towards center field on a mile-high pop-up, had his back to the infield, walked about 30 feet into the outfield grass, Kirilloff charging in from left field, and Correa, without even looking like he tried that hard, just caught it right in the basket for the final out of the inning. Did you see that replay?
I did see the replay. It is defensively, it is my favorite play in baseball. Like, that's a play that I think it's the Willie Mays catch, right? What kid with your buddies when you're playing catch hasn't been like, now throw me one, I'm going to basket catch. When I was growing up, it was Jim Edmonds did it all the time for the Angels. That's the catch, man. It's like there's not everybody wants to rob a home run. Kirby robbing the ball, off the plexiglass. That's always cool. Metrodome fans jumping off the baggie and catching one. But every baseball fan who likes some that's the play. It's that over you're not over a shoulder. You were just running straight back until that you see that ball in your line of vision and catching it in the breadbasket. It's my favorite play. It's my favorite defensive play in baseball, which is a really silly thing to say.
I mean, it's impressive because it's just like, oh, he's just catching a fly ball. But when you have to navigate like that as an infielder back and make that play, Carlos Correa makes a lot of defensive plays look so effortless, and he could do that last season. But again, I'm knocking profusely on wood. It feels like the plantar fasciitis stuff has gone away for Correa. And he looks so much healthier this season. And not every game has been great. He hasn't been lighting it up every single time. But don't you just feel like when you have Buxton and Correa in place, and when those guys they're paid to be the two centerpieces of the team and have those young kids kind of come up around them, I know Lewis is special and the Twins have some good hitters and Kirilloff, obviously, but Buxton and Correa are the faces of this team. And when those two guys are right, and they weren't right last year and the Twins won 89 games. So if they're right this year, that makes up for something.
Turns out that's the kind of injury. It's like a muscle strain. You can only heal it by resting it. It's the only you might be able to power through it as Correa did, but the only way it's ever going to get healthy is by not stressing it out at all. And I know you didn't mean to. I don't mean to sound this sarcastic when I say this, but yeah, it helps like hell when your two best players are healthy and playing.
Yeah, big if true.
Big if true. Yeah, it's really important. It's really important that this team has those guys. The success of this team is built around those guys and Royce and Pablo and Joe Ryan. It's built around those guys being healthy and playing and performing. And if they play, they'll likely perform because they're really good at the thing that they do. So, it's fun. It's why you would turn them on to watch them on TV or listen on the radio. Like their appointment view. When Carlos Correa is up to bat, I'm going to go to the bathroom after that at bat's over,
Right, exactly. You're not going to go in the kitchen to make a sandwich while he's going up to bat. You're going to watch that at bat. And then when Christian Vasquez comes up, then you're like, sandwich time. Here we go. So there you go. Twins are playing the Guardians today. They're off tomorrow and then 2 more over the weekend.
There's 2 outs and Christian Vasquez is up. I got time to poop with the commercial break. This is perfect.
The Minnesota Vikings looking to try and trade up in the NFL draft. We talked about the number 3 overall pick. We've talked about the number 4 overall pick. Today, Corey, a lot of the conversation will kind of be the same when we talk about the number 5 overall pick. This is with the LA Chargers. And obviously, receiver, everybody's kind of leaning towards maybe Harbaugh wants to get an offensive lineman. But another thing is the Chargers, despite having Harbaugh and Herbert, they do have some holes on that roster, especially on the defense, and they might want extra picks. So the Chargers, everybody talks about Harbaugh wanting everybody to trade up for McCarthy. That's why he talks up J.J. McCarthy, his old quarterback at Michigan, so much, because he wants teams. He wants somebody to trade up with him at number 5 and go get J.J. McCarthy and let him get a couple extra first-round picks in the process. So, Corey, the number 5 overall pick, likely if this is happening, it's probably, if Drake May falls to 5, the Vikings are trading up to 5. I think we understand that, but I think with all intents and purposes, we're assuming that J.J. McCarthy is on the board. And so this will kind of be similar to yesterday's discussion. Would you, if you were the Vikings, trade up to the number 5 overall pick to get J.J. McCarthy?
This is the first one that we've talked about that feels like actually the most reasonable option. Chicago's not going anywhere at 1. Washington at 2.
Yep.
New England at 3. Arizona doesn't need a quarterback, but this is their chance to take Marvin Harrison. You have mentioned plenty that there's tons of good wide receivers that can be had in this draft. If you're the Chargers, maybe you have to worry about the Giants at 6 wanting a receiver. Maybe they decide that Danny Dimes was not perfectly healthy. He didn't have the supporting cast around him to help him succeed. Maybe you're worried that the Giants are going to want a receiver for Dimes to be able to throw to, and kind of help his cause out that way. Tennessee is right back there also. Are they going to go with Levis? Is Levis that guy? Does he have guys to throw to? He doesn't have Derrick Henry to hand off to anymore.
They got DeAndre Hopkins and now Calvin Ridley. That was
1,000 years old combined between those 2 guys. But so that's obviously very, very helpful. But the 5 spot's the most reasonable spot, I think, to move up to in all of this as far as actual expectations. And I wouldn't personally have an issue if they moved up to 5 for JJ McCarthy. I think or any quarterback that happens to still be available, of the main 3 guys. Go ahead, do it. Yeah. Get up there and get the guy.
Yeah, and I think, obviously McCarthy, again, going up to get him is a lot for a guy that probably, for the 4th quarterback in the draft, but it's a very big quarterback class. If Kevin O'Connell feels like he can win with J.J. McCarthy, then just go get him. Don't waste your time. Don't futz around. In case a team like the Giants goes, yeah, Danny Dimes is here, but we want to pick our quarterback, and he's sitting right here, and we don't have to trade up for him. So here's an interesting hypothetical. If you're the Vikings, let's say, so I agree with everything you're saying. So this is why I'm taking it to a different direction. If the Vikings don't get J.J. McCarthy, let's say the Broncos give a Godfather offer to the Cardinals, and now J.J. McCarthy is off the board. Now, if you're the Vikings, what do? Do you say, well, there's a run on quarterbacks and we got to make sure we get somebody? We're trading up with the Chargers at 5 to get Penix or something like that, because the Raiders are probably thinking the same thing, and they're not going to trade up. They're not going to be able to trade up with the Chargers. The Chargers won't let them. So, because they're in division. So if Penix or Nix are your only two options, are you still trading up for the 5th overall pick?
No, they have enough other needs, and there are some, I think, probably some franchise players that will be available on the defensive side of the ball that would be really, really, really useful, that you can maybe you can move up to get one of those guys. But what do they have? They have 11 and 23. So
yeah,
get your defensive stalwart, big fat guy, defensive whatever it is, or a safety, or the linebacker, or the corner. I don't know, whatever it is at 11, and grab Penix then at 23, or I don't know. There's a million options if all of those guys are off the board by the time you get the chance. I think it's wide open. I think it's very likely you just see them take their picks and move on,
Right. I think that is a possibility, especially it depends on how the Vikings feel about Penix or Nix. Let's say the Vikings favor Penix over Nix. I think the Raiders probably would like Penix over Nix as well. So it's just, are you worried that the Raiders are going to jump? I mean, they're going to take a quarterback, it feels like. So if you're the Vikings, are you like, we don't want Bo Nix? Like, we do not want him as our starting quarterback. We don't think he's a fit. We don't think it's going to translate. Then, that's the different. The common wisdom would say, just sit back, don't overspend, do what you need to do. But if you want to come away with the quarterback in this draft and you don't think Bo Nix is the guy, the Vikings might be in a position to do that. Now, the law of averages states that's probably not going to happen. How many drafts have we seen quarterbacks go 4 out of 5 in the first 5 picks? But answer, it's those teams could take a quarterback. And that's the only, if you feel like, what happens if that run continues and all of a sudden, let's say Penix goes to, let's say the Giants shock everybody and take Bo Nix, and then the Raiders take Penix, and now the Vikings are sitting there without any quarterbacks. That'll be the interesting part. So that's a nightmare scenario. That's very unlikely. But
right, but also this is important. Obviously the Vikings lost the second greatest quarterback in franchise history, statistically speaking, with Kirk Cousins, right?
Yeah.
So the quarterback has been the entire point of emphasis of this entire offseason from a fan's perspective.
Mm-hmm.
There are some other franchise players that exist who don't play quarterback available in this draft.
Right.
And turns out this team is not a quarterback away from a Super Bowl. No. This team is a quarterback away, a defensive tackle, free safety, a strong safety, a corner, and a linebacker, and probably a guard, and a kick. I mean, they don't even have a kicker. So, like, there's a lot of things that this team could fill out positionally, right. And because quarterback has been such an important part of this conversation, I don't know who else. I don't know who's like supposed to be world beaters everywhere else at any other position, but I can promise you that they exist, and the Vikings know who those guys are. And if all the quarterbacks are gone, good. Use your first round picks to take those defensive players who can change your team for the next decade.
Right. And
that's totally okay.
Mm-hmm. It all depends on what Kwesi and Kevin O'Connell's timelines are from ownership. Does ownership tell them, like, we need to get a quarterback this year? Like, we want Kirk's replacement. We want somebody to sell the fan base to. We're like, we don't want to go through a whole season of Sam Darnold. Like, that'll be the interesting facet. But you are right. Like, there are so many players in this draft. And especially if all those quarterbacks go early, that basically means that all the players who would have gone 1 or 4 or 8 are now sitting for you at 11. And you can scoop up a very talented player. Even though you don't have a top 10 pick, you can get a guy who's a top 10 overall player in the draft because other teams got so desperate for quarterbacks. I think at the end of the day, the Vikings make it work, but that 5th overall pick is going to be fascinating and maybe the most realistic scenario for them. So
I think so.
There you go. This has been the morning sports desk for Thursday, April April 4th. We'll catch you guys next time.